When I turned 22 years old, I went out with 4 of my good friends to celebrate my birthday after work. We went to a bar and drank ourselves into oblivion. Even though we were wild then, we still had a designated driver who was one of our friends because it was his turn. We didn't have Uber then. Without our knowledge, our designated driver, who was one of our friends, took the bottle outside where we couldn't see him and consumed its content. Then it was time for us to head home deep at night. My vision was blurred. I didn't even remember getting in the car. All I remember was the screeching of tires, the crunch of metal, and the clinking of glass in the air. Pain shot through my body as a violent jolt snapped me out of my drunken slumber and into a state of disarray. I struggled to open my eyes, feeling disoriented and confused. The bright stereo lights of the hospital room assaulted my senses and my blurred vision took a while to adjust. As I tried to piece together the events leading up to this moment, a sharp pain emanated from my groin, making me wince in agony. My gaze moved downward, and my heart dropped when I saw the bandages around my injured groin, broken ribs, and right arm. The pain intensified with each passing second, making me acutely aware of the severity of the injury. A wave of nausea came over me as I pondered the consequences of my actions. The doctor entered the room, his face reflecting a mixture of concern and professional detachment. He told me that all but one of my friends had passed away, and the one that remained alive was on life support. He said I would make a full recovery. However, the trauma I had suffered could have caused severe damage to my testicular tissue, resulting in a condition known as non-obstructive azoospermia. He said it could affect or disrupt the delicate process of spermatogenesis by interfering with sperm production. As I lay in my hospital bed, the burden of survivor's guilt fell on me. How was I spared when my friends died? It was like a cruel twist of fate, an undeserved respite that made me haunted by their absence. Each face flashed before my eyes, forever imprinted in my memory their laughter, their dreams, and their potential I extinguished in an instant. The loss was immeasurable, and the grief consumed me like a suffocating blanket. I mourned the untimely deaths of my friends, struggling with the injustice of their cut-short lives. Survival felt like a double-edged sword, as if I had to carry the weight of their memories and honor their legacy. I wasn't religious, but in the days that followed, I found comfort in the fact that a higher power had prepared a mission for me in life, and I needed an answer to know what to do. As I lay in my hospital bed, struggling with overwhelming grief and survivor's guilt, a quiet knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. A preacher stood in the doorway. He introduced himself and explained that he had heard about the accident and wanted to offer comfort and support. His presence seemed like a lifeline in that moment of despair. It seemed like the answer I was looking for from a higher power. We talked for hours, sharing stories and plumbing the depths of faith. He spoke of redemption, forgiveness, and the unconditional love of Jesus. Something inside me responded deeply to his words, and I saw his visit as a sign of hope and divine intervention. As the preacher continued to visit, our conversations began to transform my broken spirit. I began to see the possibility of finding comfort and purpose through faith. The teachings of Christ offered me a path of healing and redemption. I began to realize that even in the face of tragedy, a greater plan could be at work. Inspired by this newfound faith, I made a life-changing decision to repent and surrender my life to Christ. I sought forgiveness for my past actions and decided to live a life guided by love, compassion, and service to others. The weight of guilt gradually subsided, replaced by a sense of calm and purpose. In the years that followed, my commitment to my faith deepened. I enrolled in Bible school, immersing myself in the teachings and principles of Christianity. This journey changed me as I studied the scriptures, learned from wise theologians, and honed my skills as a spiritual leader. Upon graduation, I accepted my calling and became a pastor. I felt a deep sense of fulfillment and joy as I stood before congregations, delivered sermons, and shared the transforming power of faith. Guided by my own experience of pain and loss, I sought to offer comfort and support to those who had experienced their own trials and tribulations. As the years passed in my role as a pastor, I met a wonderful woman who changed my life forever. She was a beautiful and charismatic person with a magnetic charm that drew people to her. Although her manner of dress was unconventional, characterized by tight dresses and seductive outfits, I did not judge her because her genuine love and compassion for others shone through. She was kind to people and participated in several paid charity events. She traveled often and earned more than me from the charity events she traveled to. I told her about my accident and how it brought me closer to God, but I never told her that I might not be able to have children. The reason I didn't tell her was because I believed God would heal me, and I had faith in God. As we spent more time together, an undeniable bond developed between us. We shared our dreams, our hopes, and our deep love for God. In each other, we found understanding and support, a partnership that felt like a divine gift. Over time, our friendship grew into deep love, and we made the decision to live together and get married. 2 years into our marriage, a miracle happened that confirmed our faith and deepened our connection. Against all odds, we discovered that we were expecting our first child. Doctors had previously informed me that I might not have children, and yet here we were, experiencing the joy and awe of new life. It seemed like a testament to God's grace and the marvelous ways He works in our lives. The arrival of our son filled our hearts with a great sense of gratitude and wonder. We marveled at this precious gift, knowing that he was a testimony of miracles that could happen even when circumstances seemed impossible. Our parenting journey was a testament to the unfathomable blessings God had bestowed upon us. We embraced our role as parents with a deep sense of responsibility, vowing to raise our child in an environment filled with love, faith, and understanding. As our marriage continued to grow, my wife's passion for church work and involvement in various charitable organizations led her to frequently travel alone. While I understood the importance of her dedication and sacrifice, I couldn't help but feel a prick of anxiety whenever she went on these trips, leaving me to care for our son. However, I recognized the importance of her mission and supported her wholeheartedly, believing that her work was having a positive impact on the world. Our marriage, like any marriage, had its ups and downs. We faced challenges and disagreements, but remained committed to keeping our family together and nurturing our love for each other. It has been a constant journey of learning, growing, and finding ways to deal with the complexities of life together. 2 years after our first son was born, we received news that filled our hearts with great joy and disbelief. We were expecting another child. The doctor's diagnosis of my infertility made this news impossible, and yet here we were, experiencing the miracle of a second pregnancy. It was like a double blessing, a confirmation that God's hand was working miracles in our lives. As we awaited the birth of our second child, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude and wonder. My ingrained distrust of doctors and medical professionals grew stronger. I doubted the accuracy of their diagnosis and felt that I had been deceived. This experience reinforced my belief that only God has the power to heal, and that miracles can happen despite the limitations of medical science. With the birth of our second healthy boy, my faith in divine intervention was further strengthened. The joy and awe that accompanied his birth was indescribable. I felt as if God had sent down an abundance of blessings, shattering the doubts and fears that remained within me. From that moment on, my faith became intertwined with the miracles I had witnessed in my life. I sought comfort and guidance in my relationship with God, knowing that He orchestrated what seemed impossible. I realized that while medical professionals play a vital role in healthcare, there are mysteries beyond their understanding that only the divine can reveal. As I held my 2 healthy sons in my arms, my heart overflowed with gratitude and a new sense of purpose. I was determined to raise them with a deep understanding of faith and a belief in the extraordinary power of God's love. They were living proof that miracles could happen, and I wanted them to grow up, knowing that God's healing touch could go beyond human knowledge. Then one day I started having constant pain in my stomach and groin, but I ignored it thinking it would go away. After a few days, it became so intense that I could no longer ignore it. Reluctantly, I decided to seek medical help, despite my initial belief that God would heal me. By choosing a different doctor than the one who treated me after the accident, I was hoping for a fresh set of eyes. During the examination, the doctor found that the injury from the accident had worsened and additional surgery was required. It was a blow to my faith, but I realized that sometimes medical intervention is necessary for healing. The doctor's words weighed heavily on me as he explained the seriousness of the situation and the need for immediate action. In addition, to better understand the extent of the damage, the doctor recommended a testicular biopsy. The results revealed the shattering truth. No viable sperm were found. I was stunned by this discovery especially since I had confidently shared with the doctor that I had 2 children. He expressed disbelief, unable to reconcile the test results with my assertion. Driven by unwavering faith, I fervently preached to the doctor about the power of healing through God. I tried to explain that miracles and divine intervention could trump medical explanations. However, the doctor remained skeptical, urging me to provide evidence to support my claim. He suggested DNA testing for my 2 sons, an opportunity to prove that they were indeed my biological children. I agreed, driven by a mixture of curiosity and a desire to confirm my faith. I decided not to inform my wife about the DNA test as she was away at the time. Along with my 2 sons, we visited the doctor's office to be tested. As the days went by, anxiety hovered in my heart. When the results finally came back, I was stunned by the shocking truth they revealed. The DNA analysis revealed that my 2 sons were not biologically related to me. Furthermore, the results showed that they had the same father, but it wasn't me. Confusion, disbelief, and heartache consumed my thoughts. It was a startling discovery that shattered the foundation of my beliefs. I couldn't understand how it could be possible, but the scientific data I had in front of me left no room for doubt. The test results demanded that I face a painful reality. In an attempt to find clarity and confirmation, I sought a second opinion to confirm the DNA results. However, the results remained unchanged, further reinforcing the truth that I was not the biological father of my 2 sons. It was a profound betrayal of the trust and love I had invested in my family. Overwhelmed with emotion, I struggled with the weight of this revelation. Questions raced through my mind, questioning the nature of the bonds I had formed and the future of my family. The pain of the situation was indescribable, and I knew that moving forward would require tremendous strength and resilience. I wanted to confront my wife with this extraordinary proof of her infidelity, but something in me wanted to know who she was cheating on me with. I had my suspicions as to who it was, but I wasn't even close. I felt a growing sense of unease and suspicion as my wife's traveling became more frequent. Deep down, I knew something was wrong, but I needed concrete proof before confronting her. With a heavy heart, I made the difficult decision to hire a private investigator, realizing that the truth, whatever it was, had to come out. The cost of a private investigator was considerable, but I felt it was worth it to uncover the truth. Days turned into weeks as I anxiously awaited the results of his investigation. During those weeks, I had to engage in my usual behavior with my wife so as not to compromise the investigation. When the day finally came, the investigator presented me with a series of photographs, irrefutable evidence of my wife's double life. Each photo was like a stab to the heart. There she was, preaching against infidelity in church, and behind my back she was spending most of her time with her ex-boyfriend as she traveled. The weight of her betrayal was crushing, and I struggled to understand how someone I loved and trusted could behave so falsely. Armed with irrefutable evidence, I confronted my wife, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger, sadness, and disbelief. She couldn't deny it. Guilt was written all over her face. She begged for forgiveness, promising that it was a mistake and that she still loved me and our children. But the depth of her betrayal had shattered the foundation of trust we once had, and in that moment, forgiveness seemed impossible. Pain and anger overwhelmed me, overpowering the remnants of love. The decision to file for divorce was an obvious necessary step to protect myself and the children from further hurt and deceit. It was a painful choice, but I couldn't continue to live a lie while pretending everything was okay. The days that followed were filled with paperwork, lawyers, and emotional turmoil. The road to divorce was difficult and emotionally draining, but I knew it was the right choice for our future well-being. I gathered church elders and other pastors to tell them what my wife had done. Out of shame, she practically stopped going to church and was later excommunicated. Most people couldn't believe what she did, but later they realized it was because of her mannerisms, her seductiveness, and her constant need for attention, which everyone, including me, saw but chose to ignore until now. As much as I loved my children, I still felt they had a biological father, and at their age, they would not remember me if I was out of their lives. My ex-wife tried to convince me to stay, saying I was the only father they knew. I replied that I was just a nanny and provider filler. The real father was in the pictures of the private investigator. How can I take care of her child while she is ducking another man? Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.